slot in the lineup so that you can still produce and not get overtired and not get overworked. That's what a true veteran, a true skilled veteran will do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Yager is definitely in that category. Huge digression. Huge digression.
What else is the show about if not digressing?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we do best. Going back to the Downey thing, though, some people believe that trade, because it just makes absolutely no sense and doesn't help either team, some people believe that it's one of two things. This is all scuttlebutt, speculation, none of it's, factual, but nevertheless, it's fun to talk about. Some rumors out of Colorado, the more ridiculous ones, is that Downey may have had some relationship or something along the line with Varlamov's significant other, causing Varlamov to react the way that he did.
You didn't tell me that one before.
Yeah, I wanted to surprise you.
There you
go. And this is obviously could very well be completely false, but nevertheless...
That one sounds super fabricated, yeah.
Nevertheless, it's really fun to speculate, because just imagine for a second, Downey sleeps with Varlamov's significant other, Varlamov flips out, snaps on his girlfriend. This is a guy that's had no violent history in his life, no criminal offenses, like totally out of character for him when his family members were interviewed, and friends were interviewed about it. Like, Varlamov is a very passive person, apparently, and this is very unlike him to react in the way that he did, causing him to have to turn himself in. So people were wondering, like, well, okay, what caused him to react like that? And some people are saying, well, maybe Downey had something going with his girl, even a small little thing, that caused Varlamov to freak out. It caused him to do what he did to his girl, and that is what caused the very next day, not even a 24-hour period, I'm talking like 7 hours later, Downey's on a plane to Philadelphia, just seemingly out of nowhere, and they didn't even try and barter for him. They're just like, just give us whoever you want. And they're like, okay, here, take Talbot. He hasn't been good since Pittsburgh, you can have him. And, so I mean, that's obviously speculation and highly improbable, but nevertheless, a very interesting story, and I often wonder, the crazier the story gets, how often it ends up being true, regardless of how crazy it is. So it is sort of funny to speculate on that. But the more realistic of the two stories that I'm about to tell you, the other one is apparently Downey had a physical altercation with the team's captain, Gabriel Landeskog, in a preseason game, or prior to a preseason game in the dressing room, I'm assuming, or not on the ice anyways. But prior to a preseason game this year, Downey had an altercation with Landeskog, which was reported by a few different people but never admitted by the club. I'm not sure what it was about. I don't know if it was because of Landeskog's age. Maybe Downey looked down on him. He is the youngest captain ever, Landeskog, we should mention, at his age. So I think he's 19 now, or 20, I can't remember. But he was 18.
20 now. He was made the captain at the beginning of last season, and he was...
I think he was a month shy of 19 or something like that, like a month shy.
Yeah, that's right. And he wasn't that much younger than the next youngest captain, which was either Crosby or Tavares, I can't remember.
Yeah. But nevertheless, people are wondering if Downey, who's known to be a bit of a hothead, he's not as much of a locker room guy like Talbot. Like, Talbot's obviously beloved by his teammates. Not to say Downey's an asshole, but I mean, Downey is known to be a hothead on and off the ice. So apparently there was some sort of altercation there, and that could have been what spurred on the trade, because you don't fight your team's captain, that especially when the season's going as well as it is. And especially with a coach.
Well, and at that time, the season hadn't started yet. But
no, this is true, of course. But I mean, if you're Patrick Waugh and you see that your captain's fighting one of your third liners, who do you trade, right? So I mean,
we've seen so far, Patrick Waugh is a man of action as well. So
yeah,
probably wouldn't have let that stew for too long if it was the scenario. And obviously, moving Downey. Not the easiest thing to do, so that's why we see a lateral move as well. You're not obviously going to get a lot in return for him. Maybe not a lot of people want to take him, so as you said, kind of like okay, well, here's Talbot, we'll take Downey, all right, let's just get this exchange done type trade.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, obviously, and I will reiterate, this is all speculation. None of this is factual.
Well, on this show isn't, Andy. I mean, even when we lay out our stats, sometimes it seems like we're speculating.
Yeah, we're speculating that they may or may not be in sixth place because things are about to change in 45 seconds, which often is the case. Remember last year, last show, we were talking about how, I think it was like the last show of last season, we were talking about how, oh my god, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they made it, they're in the playoffs, this is incredible, and now they're not. Right after the show finishes recording, Minnesota, by default, with 1 point over them, gets into that 8th spot, squeaks in. That's funny, because that's how it works, right? I mean, it comes down to the wire.
We have get out of jail free cards though, because I mean we called the rough firing.
Yep.
We've called several coach firings and several player trades over the years now. So
yeah, nobody's perfect. You're allowed to make mistakes. Another interesting story coming out of this I guess isn't relating directly to Colorado, but it would relate to it if what happens that I'm about to discuss. New Jersey, apparently, reports out of New Jersey, I should say, is that Martin Brodeur. Well, this is not a rumor though. This is like on tsn.ca front page. Like, this is a report that came out of New Jersey today. This is a fact. This is not.
I could still. The fact. There's a fact, and then there's speculation.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not. The Colorado thing is just me talking out of my ass. But
but not even the Colorado thing. I mean, go ahead with your.
Okay, New Jersey is reporting that they are willing, or Martin Brodeur is willing to waive his no trade clause to go to a Stanley Cup contender. If it looks like New Jersey, by the trade deadline, is not going to be making the playoffs, many believe that this might be Brodeur's last year. Martin Brodeur, to try and get one more Stanley Cup on top of the $70,000 that he's earned over the years, might request to get traded to a cup contender. That's insane. Imagine Brodeur not retiring a Devil. But then again, we said the same thing about Alfredson. So that would be crazy if Brodeur ended up going to another team. B, imagine if Colorado was to land Brodeur and Patrick Waugh was to be his coach and they were to go on a cup run together. Wouldn't that be insane?
I question a lot of things about this. First of all, are we forgetting about J.S. Giguère? He's having one of the best years of his career since he won the cup with Anaheim. I mean, what is Brodeur going to do? He's going to play 15 games, especially if he doesn't move until March. If he doesn't move until March 5th, he'll play 5 games.
But it's Martin Brodeur.
I know, but he's not going to start in the playoffs. I mean,
you wouldn't start Brodeur in the playoffs if you had him? Over Giguère?
Not if I had Giguère playing the way he's playing.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Giguère is playing incredibly well right now. There's no
way.
That.
There's no way, right now, if the playoffs started right now, there's no way if I had Brodeur and Giguère, I'd play Giguère first.
So who do you think...
Brodeur hasn't won a game yet this season. Keep that in mind.
Yes. No, it's been a pretty poor start.
In my opinion, he should have retired at the end of last year.
I know
he wanted to do that one more stretch for the Cup. Maybe not last year. The year that the Devils went to the finals. Mm-hmm. That was his last shot, I think, at a Cup. I think he's pulling at straws now, honestly. Yeah. And I think TSN is blowing it up. That's what I think.
They're definitely fishing for a story. That's certain. But that is obviously their and our job. So I mean, I'm not, I'm not questioning that tactic because that's what we do. But no, I agree with you. I mean, I said the same thing after last season. I was really actually surprised when Brodeur said he was going to play one more year, and I also said the same thing the previous year after the Devils won on the Cup run. I was like, oh, really? Brodeur's going to go on some more? Like, he looked really good. Why not go out with a bang? But I guess he thought he had something left in him. He didn't play poorly last year. He looked good. This year, he hasn't looked particularly good. I mean, he is a shadow of his former self. He just doesn't have the lateral movement he used to have. He's not as fast. He can be brilliant still at times, but he is not the Martin Brodeur of old. And as it stands right now, the Devils are 13th in the East, 3-7-4. I mean, they still could, theoretically, make the playoffs. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but look at their team. Like, they just got nothing. Once Kovalchuk left, that completely screwed them over because they had all their money tied up in him. They had no depth because they spent all their money on Kovalchuk. So once Kovalchuk leaves, who do you got? Henrique, and Elias. Both very good players. Henrique especially turning into a very good player.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got all these underperformers. Okay, so Jágr is doing what he does. 10 points, 14 games. As a veteran, you can't ask for more than that. In fact, you would probably expect less. So he's leading the team in scoring. Elias, honestly, quite silent for him, and I think he's going nowhere but down from here. He's obviously past the prime of his career and in no position to lift a team on his own. He needs support. That support was supposed to be Damian Brunner. 7 points in 13 games, not bad. I'd like to see more from him. I thought he was excellent in Detroit. And then the biggest one for me, which is I want to laugh about this one a little bit, is Michael Ryder. When Montreal decided in the middle of the offseason not to sign Michael Ryder, it was a report on TSN that I had read that said that they weren't interested in signing him at all, even though there was plenty of time to do so. I agreed with that because, in my opinion, he was going to ask for what he got, and he had a breakout year with us. He was a point per game after the trade from Dallas, but that was a freak thing. That was we got super lucky with that. He did not show up in the playoffs, and I anticipated that it would go the way it's going. In 5 points in 14 games, Michael Ryder is proving that last year was a bit of a fluke. It looked like he might make a bit of a comeback from his younger years, but I don't see that happening either. So between Ryder, Henrique, and Brunner not showing up, and the fact that Jágr is leading your team in points, all hope is pretty much lost, in my opinion, for the Devils. The fact that they're not in last is actually pretty surprising.
So the likelihood of Brodeur getting traded, that could happen. That's scary to think.
It could happen. Colorado doesn't seem likely to me just because of the reasons I was stating behind Jaguar. Brodeur might want some more ice time. Obviously, I don't think he expects to start on a lot of different teams that are Stanley Cup contenders at the moment, but I know he'd like to play some games. And
I could see the Islanders. I could see the Islanders.
I could see the Islanders. Yeah, I definitely could see that as a
possibility. They need some goaltending.
Maybe wait a bit for them to see if they can, fortify a position a bit better. But yeah, I mean, you look up the East; they're pretty solid. Tampa Bay.
Yep. Although Lindback is playing really well right now, he is, but one of the major reasons they're in second at the moment.
To me, I mean, just because he's a little bit younger, that to me might be a smarter tandem decision. Mm-hmm. The risk is still there,
and can he be consistent?
Play that
right?
many games, but he would have the higher likelihood of playing, just with the fact that's who you have in net. But I mean, you go to the West too. There's not a lot of jobs available anymore. We kind of had the goaltending rush in the offseason with Bernier being available and whatnot, and teams made their moves, made their decisions, and kind of moved on. And Brodeur's, maybe making this decision a little bit late. Kind of should have thought about it before the Ginger showed up.
Potentially, the Ginger being Schneider, of course. Schneider.
We're not doing very well either.
No.
Actually, but I mean, that's what you get for being a Devil these days.
Luongo is doing much better than Schneider at the moment, making Canucks fans
glorious right now, which is what I said from the beginning. Not from the beginning, but after his playoff performance, after a loose playoff performance in Game 1 and Game 2 versus the Sharks, I was like, don't get rid of them. Don't do it.
Yeah. And it's important to note that the guy we got for Schneider, Bo Horvat, is absolutely tearing up the London Knights right now. He is playing great hockey. Absolutely great hockey. Another couple teams that potential for Brodeur, less or so Minnesota, because Backstrom is sort of, like Lindback, he can be hot at times, but he's not, consistent all the time.
Disagree. Harding is incredible.
Oh, that's right. Harding's playing great. You know what? That's true.
He has the best save percentage in the league.
Yeah.
The best goals against average in the league.
That's true. I always forget about Harding.
1 goal against the game. 1.09 goals against average.
Yeah, that's ludicrous. That is ridiculous. Yeah.
So I disagree. Minnesota's not taking Brodeur.
No, you've convinced me. I completely forgot about Josh Harding. Sorry, Josh. Sorry, Mr. Harding, who's not listening to the show anyways. But sorry that I completely forgot you. Okay, but the team that I was going to say more so anyways, even though yes they have a good goaltending tandem, but if they're really going to make a solid cup run this year, you might see them possibly get rid of one of these guys and have Brodeur replace them, and that's the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with you on that. You can make a solid move with either Elliott or Halak to pick up something to solidify your lineup.
Elliott's good. Elliott's going to be very good, but I have a feeling they'd probably stick with Halak based on his previous playoff performance. And I would think Halak and Brodeur, especially for the Blues, who are a terrific team and very likely a cup contender, they could go on a serious run with Halak and Brodeur in tandem with each other.
And you'd look for probably a three-way trade in that scenario, or another team at least being involved shortly before or thereafter, strictly because I don't see New Jersey taking Elliott or Halak in exchange, because they have Schneider, obviously. I don't know who their backup prospect would be, but I doubt that they would want to take on another goalie that wants a starting role at this stage. So you'd look to see St. Louis maybe get rid of Elliott or Halak for something in lineup, and then get rid of a lineup member or maybe a draft pick to get Brodeur to make a run for the playoffs. I like the Blues a lot. They're one of my favorite teams right now.
Mm-hmm. How about Alex Steen, eh? How about Steen?
Just still tearing it. It's unreal. 19 points in 13 games.
Who does this guy think he is? Who does he think he is? I've never seen... He's never had point production like this before, ever.
No,
he is not
even close.
No, he's like it's like he's the guy that created the voodoo doll and stole Claude Giroux's soul, and it's now possessing Alex Steen. That's what's happening.
That officially, you heard it here first.
And that is
going on in the NHL. Yeah. Giroux has been screwed over by Steen.
Yeah, there is voodoo magic involved here. This is not a speculation. This is cold hard fact, people. There is a little Claude Giroux voodoo doll in Alex Steen's locker. That's the only explanation I have for Steen's play. He's playing amazing. I mean, he's never been considered a bad player. He's always been a top six since he's been drafted. Obviously, his dad
a top six forward on a roster.
Yeah.
Not the number one forward in the NHL. What is that?
No, like in previous years, he gets you 20 goals and you're happy. He's kind of like a Chris Higgins in that way. And don't forget, he comes from hockey semi-royalty, dad being Thomas Steen, one of the great Winnipeg Jets of the 80s and early 90s. So